Hey there, Jessica here. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm excited for this practice today. Today, our class is going to be grounding. We're going to spend a lot of the time, most of our time on our hands and our knees. It's inspired by Year of the Tiger, the Chinese or Lunar New Year. So we're going to kind of focus on the hip flexors, like I said, be on the hands and knees, kind of tap into our animal spirit. So we're going to get started with a couple of props. So I'm going to have a couple blocks in the class. You don't necessarily need them. You could use a water bottle. Honestly, this is really just going to be a placeholder for us. We're not going to really use it to create space so much. And then some pillows or bolsters if you have them. I've got a long bolster and a skinny small bolster stacked on top. One is just fine. Two is super comfy. We're going to start in a hero's pose. So totally optional. If you do not want to start the class this way, you can just have a seat in easy pose, maybe with the bolster under your hips. Otherwise, if you've got a bolster or you like hero pose on its own without any props, please find that. I'm going to make mine extra luxurious. If you've taken several classes with me before, you might notice that I take hero pose with blocks. Usually, this is just a little extra luxurious. So we'll find our hero pose here, take a moment to get settled in, find your support, whether you're using blocks, and just start to sit back, sinking into the hips, letting the hips settle, shoulders right underneath the ears and away from the face. Tuck the chin down just a little bit. We'll just take 5 to 10 breaths to ground ourselves for our practice. Resting the hands. Elbows are heavy. Start to tap into your breath with the next inhalation. Notice any parts of the body that are firing up if you're taking hero pose, or even if you're in an easy pose. Where do you feel this? Is it the hip flexors, the tops of the feet, the thighs? Or can you adjust yourself to comfort yourself for a little more ease? Couple more breaths here. Establishing a foundation for your breath to move through today. Yeah, let's sigh it out together. A couple breaths together, deep here. One more time. I know it feels weird sometimes. Just let it go. Very good. All right, let's come out of this. Let's transition to tabletop position from here. So any props that you are using, let's just press them off to the side. We will come back to them, maybe. And let's find our tabletop position. So hands and knees, looking down between the knees here. And so typically, traditionally, we would cue shoulders directly over elbows, elbows over the wrist. That's a lot of pressure in the wrist sometimes. So if you're not feeling that, feel free to walk your hands forward a little bit more and have your arms more at an angle. That'll take some of the pressure off. Find what feels really, really good for you. Open the knees up a little bit wider than hip width distance apart. And we're just gonna make some little circles with the pelvis. So slowly start moving the pelvis, dipping it down, softening the belly and rounding up through the spine, drawing the chin up to the chest. And when you get comfortable, start to bring this into the shoulder blades, maybe the arms. Nice little circles. Think like a tiger here. You've been sleeping, you just woke up, stretching out the spine. Little circles with the pelvis, the rest of the body follows. Use the arms. Shoulders contract and protract. Switch directions. Don't forget, the other side needs it too. Start to come back to neutral here, and then let's breathe through cat posture, starting with an inhale. Neck is nice and neutral, gaze is down, drop the belly, bring the chest through the shoulders. Oh yeah, stretch the torso, look up, big inhale. And exhale, round through the spine, press the shoulders up to the sky. Tailbone tucks under, press the ground away. Inhale, cow. Exhale, big cat. Right? Inhale. And exhale. Walk the hands over to the right. Inhale. Oh yeah, that's nice through the side body. Exhale. Walk the hands to center and then the other side. Inhale. Exhale. Back to center here. Let's come back to a seated position. So if you've got a pillow or a bolster to sit up on, let's find that here. Let's find our easy pose. Just think of gently accessing your hips here. So we opened the tops of the thighs a little bit with hero pose, maybe the hips too, depending on your situation. And we're gonna just kind of focus on that a little more here. So sit up nice and tall. Again, props are not necessary, but they're really comfortable. They add to your practice. They extend what you can do in your practice. So if you find yourself in positions, even just sitting, and it feels excruciating, or you're like, can't wait to get up or change positions, try a prop, try a bolster. It will give you some extra time and allow you to find comfort, which really allows you to connect with the practice in the way that is intended, right? You're not thinking about your body. Your mind is kind of free to explore. So, thank you for coming to my TED Talk about props. Sit up nice and tall here. Arms rest on the knees. Soften the gaze or close your eyes. And visualize your spine shooting down from the base through the top of the head. Visualize that spine, and as you visualize the spine, adjust your body so that it becomes longer, so you create a more clear pathway for that energy to flow. Sometimes it's helpful to draw the elbows into the body. That kind of pushes the chest forward, rolls the shoulders back, and then tuck the chin down, which I say over and over again, because that really is like the cherry on top. No pun intended. Breathing here. Ooh, find a softness in all of this focus on sitting up straight. So we pulled ourselves straight, but we can still find that middle road, that soft road, or we can kind of surrender into the posture. Now with your eyes still closed, let's cross directions of the feet. So if your right leg was in front, bring the left leg in front and continue with easy pose. Usually we have a dominant side and a side that's not used to bending in the opposite direction. So we're just gonna kind of invite a stretch on the other side of our body, the other part of the hip that is not as open. Again, come back into that tall spine, elbows into the body, and then soften. Find a few breaths here. Gently blink the eyes, open your hands to the knees, roll the neck out, back and down the center, and then the other direction. Think of drawing a big circle with your chin. One more in the other direction. And then one last time, opposite direction. So 2 rotations on each side. Very, very, very good. So from here, let's continue our stretching a bit. So remember, I'm still on the bolster. If you are generous in the thighs and the glutes, you might need a little extra height here. So play with this. We're going to get into shoelace pose. So I like to start by threading one foot through the space between the thigh and the foot of the opposite leg. I'm grabbing that foot with my hand, and I want my knee to come out forward or parallel. Depending on your body, this is going to be somewhere different. So you can maybe visualize where the height here would help you if you're not using it already. And then from there, I'm going to slowly negotiate my top leg over to the opposite side of the thigh. Now, this bolster is keeping me from completely rolling over. It's giving me some extra space so I can hold this and still breathe. Now your knees might be stacked on top of each other flat. There might be a gap of space like mine. Just notice what feels good and find a position where you can kind of hang out here for a breath or 2 or 5 and sit up as tall as you can. Use your hands to support yourself. You can use additional props here. A block or a blanket wedged right in the space, if you have it, is really nice. Sit up as tall as you can and just breathe into the opening of the external portion of your hip flexor. Breathe, soften your face. Close your eyes if that feels good. And relax any tension that you're feeling. You might be clenching your glutes or your jaws or, your toes or something like that. See if you could notice where that unnecessary tension is flowing into your body and release it with your next exhale. If it's serving you, if it's helpful, hold on to it. But chances are it's a lot of effort that you could save. Chances are it's not doing anything. Breathe here for one more breath before switching to the other side. Exhale, breathe it out, tiger breath. Stick your tongue out. Let's start to unfurl. So slowly make your way out of this, come back to center, and then we'll do this on the other side. So opposite leg threads through. Find your placement, find where you feel stable, and then slowly see where you can finagle your opposite leg. And check this side out. What does this side have to offer? What are this side's limitations? Is it different? Is it the same? We'll hang out. You know the drill. Find your comfort. Find your tall spine. Tuck your chin. Soften your brow. Unclench. Find a good resting spot for your arms. They might be doing a little heavy lifting too. They might be helping to support you. I know my left arm is helping here. And even through this effort, through this twisting and this winding and this holding, this pressure, there is ease, there is softness. There's going with the flow. There's fearlessness. Find all of that here. Find all or some or any of that. Maybe you're being confronted with your fears or your anxiety here because it's uncomfortable. And that's okay. That's okay too. We breathe life into whatever it is that we're experiencing here, whatever this asana stirs up, whatever this focus brings to light. As you relax, as your body acclimates, you might feel a little bit of dancing or contracting of muscles in your thighs. Be present for all of that. That's the magic stuff. That's your body releasing and letting go and finding security, finding its space. And we're going to end this side with a tiger breath as well. So take one last big deep inhale here. Exhale, stick your tongue out. Yeah. It feels weird. It looks weird. It's fun. Slowly start to come out of this. Take your time. Stay situated on your pillow here. We're going to come into a fire log pose. I'm going to grab a block for this. So let's bring your right foot forward and kind of bring it out at a 90-degree angle across here, like you're going to come into easy pose. And instead of kind of tucking your other leg in front, you're going to bring the opposite heel and foot on top of the inner thigh and kind of stack the legs up here. So you can prop yourself however you want. I'm on a bolster. I have a block here. We're not going to spend a lot of time here, but let's take 5 breaths, okay? Find that long spine. Relax the arms, relax the hands. Hold on tight, but not too tight. Find your patience here. 2 more breaths. Feel that sensation building and building and building, and with your next exhale, you cool it down. Let's switch to the other side. I told you we wouldn't spend a whole lot of time here. We are not finding a yin practice. We're just opening up a little bit. So reposition yourself. Opposite leg comes down first this time. Take your time. And then we'll bring the other leg on top. Sit up tall. Any adjustments you need to make, feel free to make them. Let go, one last breath. Exhale, tiger breath. Release. Ay, ay, ay. Release, release, release. Bring the soles of the feet together. Knees come out nice and wide. Might use my blocks, might not. Yeah, I will. Soles of the feet together. Hang on to either your ankles, maybe your hands are underneath the feet, maybe you're holding onto the knees or the shins. And as you hold on, pull your spine tall, roll the shoulders down the back, tuck the chin. Breathe here. Maybe negotiate some space with the body. If you are thick in the middle, you can kind of take your hands and squish things in and create some space in the joints. Obviously, you're not moving, you're not changing the composition of your body, but you're creating a little bit of space. And it's really interesting. If you're not comfortable with moving your body around in public spaces in a live class, that's totally understandable. But you're at home right now, you're with me. So even if you're not comfortable with it, when other people are watching you, there's no one there. Try squishing your thigh meat out of the way, or your stomach or your middle out of the way, or some extra skin out of the way. And just that sensation of kind of pushing it out of the way opens up a little more space to access around the joints. So it's something I saw or was instructed to do several times before I actually really did it. And I was very surprised at how much space it created, how helpful it was. So I do urge you to do that if you haven't tried that already. Take a big inhale here. And on the exhale, we're going to start to kind of consider bring your head closer to our toes. So you might still have like the 2 feet. You might have quite a bit of space like I do, and that's cool. We're just checking in. We're just kind of going with the flow. We're moving in the direction. It's not we're not worried about getting to a certain place. We're just vibing. We're just taking the ride. Open those hips up. One more breath here. Let's
Surrender into the posture. Let the body weight take you down. And then release, start to come up. Ooh, yes, come all the way up. Meet me in tabletop again, hands and knees. Do take your time here. So we meet again in tabletop position. We're gonna get into some balancing postures here. So bring your knees together, squeeze the knees together into the midline. And start by extending the right foot out behind you. Come to the toes, so the ball of the foot is down on the ground. Hips are squared off to the mat, and hands are as wide as the shoulders. And start to kind of just rock back, opening up the calf a little bit. Maybe even getting into the ankle slightly. Just use that resistance of your ball of your foot digging into the mat to kind of rock back and forth, opening up the calf muscle, pressing the heel back. And then we'll switch sides. Left leg extends. And of course, if you have tenderness in the knees, if you're wincing here because your knee hurts, please bring a pillow or a blanket under the knee. Bring a foam cushion. If you have anything that you think would be helpful, bring it. A flat pillow. Like, there's so much. Extend through that calf muscle, press the heel back, come back to center. Gaze remains down between the palms. Extend that right leg again, so you have an option to keep the ball of the foot down on the ground if this is enough for you, or lift the foot up. Try to bring it in alignment with the hip if you have the lift here. And then we'll bring the left arm out. Balancing cat. Press the ground away, press out of that the grounded palm, press out of the knee, lift your body up. Gaze is down, neck is long, we're breathing. We're pressing through the heel, we're flexing that back foot. The fingertips are gripping forward and reaching, extending through the body, making yourself as tall as possible. Exhale, knee and palm come down at the same time. Right in on the other side, left leg extend, right arm extends. Flex through the foot, keep the hips square. Notice if your hip starts to peel open, keep the toes pointed down towards the ground. Fingertips are forward, press out of the shoulder, lift up. We're strong, the core is strong, the core is active and working. One more breath. Exhale, come down. Send the hips back, a little bit of a child pose action here. Press the palms forward. Bring the head down. You can come all the way down to the ground. You can hover like I am here. Breathe. Find your Ujjayi breath, that ocean breath. That deep, heavy sighing that sometimes you're a little self-conscious of doing around other people. Release the neck on the head, rock the head from side to side. Come up back to tabletop. Once you're done there, we're staying on hands and knees. If you're getting tender, find some support. Don't be afraid to press pause. I will be here when you come back. It's all good. So from our tabletop position, let's find our tiger pose. And I only come into tiger pose in a modified way because of my body, because I am abundant through the back, because my hamstrings are tight and short, because my feet are inflexible. I come into this in a modified way, and that's how I'm going to show you how to come into this. So traditionally, you would come into your tabletop position, you would extend a leg, you'd bend the knee up, you'd kind of point the foot back and reach up and back. Oh, I almost got it. So it's hard for me to grab my foot that way. It's hard for a lot of us to grab our foot that way. So if you're like me and you can barely grab your foot, or you're like a foot away from your foot, this is how I typically come into this posture. So from hands and knees, I'm gonna lift my left heel up and cross it over my right ankle. Then I'm gonna kind of scoot back, walk my hands back, and I'm gonna grab my left foot with my right hand, okay? Does that make sense? I'm gonna come back into one-armed position here, and I'm gonna slide my left knee off the mat and lift it up. Reaching up behind me, bam, tiger pose. Gaze is down, lift that foot up, reach that arm back, press into the top of the right foot for grounding. Press your body away from the mat with the left hand. Gaze is strong, kick that foot back and away from you, create space. You got this, you got this. One more breath. And exhale, release. Shake it out. Curl the toes under. Let's take that on the other side, right? So, however you want to find this, whether you come into it the traditional way or not, lift up. Keep the breath moving. Kick the foot up. Create space, kick the foot away. Let go, take a break if you need to. Find one more breath here. And release, release, release. Come back down to the ground here. Take the knees wide. Let's take child's pose. Let's take a supported child's pose, if you like. I like to bring a pillow between my knees slightly and right under my torso. I then sit my hips back towards my heels as much as I can, and then just rest down on the pillow. It brings the ground a lot closer and makes this posture a little more restful in your body, a little more easy. Find your breath here. Relax the feet. Notice places in the body that are holding tightly, that are erroneously working right now. Let them melt down. Send that signal from your brain to your body that, hey, we're okay. We're doing good. We can relax now. On your next inhale, draw this deep, deep, deep to your lower back, to the lower rib cage. And start to make your way up from this child's pose, nice and simple and easy. You're gonna get into the hip flexors a little bit more now. Still working on that tiger energy. Now, this is a bit of a doozy, I have to say. However, I enjoy a challenge. So I'm gonna be a little wobbly here. I'm telling you this right now, and so you probably will be too. I don't know. I don't have to be perfect at this to share it with you, to invite you into my practice. So this is a nice little exercise to work on opening and strengthening your hip flexors. Like I said, it's really hard. There's balance involved. And this is where the water bottle comes in handy. So if you didn't have blocks, you don't have blocks, you can literally use a book. You can use anything as a placeholder. And I'm gonna demo this for you on my worst side. So standing on the knees, and remember, if your knees are tender, to grab something underneath them, which I'm gonna do right now. Because even if your knees are not tender, and you were on the borderline of tender knees, we're gonna be putting a lot of pressure on the knees here. So find what works for you. I'm gonna support myself with this blanket. I think that's gonna be helpful for me. Oh yeah, that's nice. Okay. All right, so back at it, we're balancing on the knee. I'm gonna step forward into a lunge. So the placement of my block or my item really is gonna depend on anatomy and balance. Essentially what we're gonna do is we're gonna lift this leg from one side to the other. Sounds easy, right? All right, let's try. So finding your focus, find something on the mat to focus on. It could be your object. In fact, focus on your object or your block. Getting really choicey about my positioning with this. So focus on your item. Take a big inhale. We're gonna press back into the grounded knee and the foot, and we're gonna lift that hip flexor, lift the foot up to the other side. Did you get that? So I'm just lifting the foot from one side to the other. And the longer your leg is here, I feel like the harder this is. So take your time, find your balance, don't push through this too fast. And do remember to use this grounded knee and top of the foot for stability, and the hands on the waist for stability here. And then let's do one more time. Back, forth, back to center. Okay, we got through one side. How did you do? That was really exhausting. Let's come back to it again. So step forward into this low lunge here. Get your hands situated. Find your positioning. Find your focus. Commit. Dedicate. Big inhale, lift. Exhale, place it down. Let's try 5 more. 2. 3. Try not to slam your foot down like I am. Let's try to find more control. Woo. 4. Let's do 1 more. We got this. We got this. 1. 2. All right. Back to center. We made it. We got it. All right. Let's come back into our hero pose from here. I am going to set up with my blocks this time. In the beginning of class, I know I was seated up on the bolsters, which is really nice. But we're warmed up now. We're a little bit open now. So let's find another hero pose. Let's revisit this using props where needed. Again, optional. You can skip this. Find easy pose again. Breathe. Sit the hips back. Roll the shoulders back. Tuck the chin. Notice the way the body receives this posture now. We created a lot of lengthening and some strengthening through the lower body. We've opened up through the back as well. Focus on the hips. Body receives this posture a little more readily, a little more easily now. Let's focus on that adaptability. So when we're living in our body and we're living our lives, it's hard to notice the subtle changes. It's really difficult. I can compare it to something that most people can relate to, like, if you're taking a medication, and of course, depending on what it's for, usually when it's working and you go back to normal, you're like, oh, I don't know if it's doing anything because I feel fine. So that's kind of the subtleness that we don't notice that I'm talking about. With our practice, with our yoga practice, with this focus on sensation in the body and being present and really tuning into this, we really pick up on the subtlety, like how magical the body is, right? We take it for granted in every other case, mostly. Let's take 3 healing breaths together to close our practice out. Big inhale. Exhale, sigh it out. 2 more, big inhale. Hold at the top. Exhale, let it go. Big inhale. Hold. Exhale. We've reached the end of our class together. I urge you to extend your practice into Shavasana if you'd like to, and thank you so much for joining me. I hope you join me again here on Joyn. You move with me again, and I'll see you next time. Bye.